Who's the next witness?
The 261st District Court is back in session.
All right, Ms. Calves, you may proceed.
Sure. We were on Flow Sports Exhibit 890, and I'm not sure if this was admitted yet. It's an agreed, if not displayed, exhibit.
Flow Sports Exhibit number 890 is admitted in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you have 890, Mr. Velikat?
I do.
And this is an email from you to Mr. Saylor in January 2020, correct?
Yes.
And you had created a signature for him, correct?
Yes.
And the purpose was to put on his content, correct?
Yeah, it was to brand Willie Saylor with a little style on some of his content. I've done this for some other content creators, so this is something I did for Willie.
And Mr. Saylor did end up using this signature, true?
Yes, that is true. It's not his signature. I do want to clarify that. It's just a stylized font
That you created.
Yes, I did create it.
As the date of your deposition on July 14th, 2020, you had advertised only 2 live events that streamed on Rockfin, true?
Potentially. I don't know exactly, but if it says that in my deposition, then that might be the case.
And how many live events have you advertised today?
Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of live events, because we live stream something every day. Our political pundits are constantly going live using a feature on our platform. But what do you specifically mean?
And what about live wrestling events?
Live wrestling events, what about them?
How many have you advertised today?
I don't know. What specifically do you mean by that?
I'm not sure I understand the time frame. Do you mean since July of this year, since November of last year? I'm just not sure I understand the question in terms of its time frame.
Sure, Your Honor. And since July, since you gave your deposition in July, how many live wrestling events that streamed on Rockfin have you advertised?
How many live wrestling events have I advertised? So which channels how many times have I advertised channels that have live events? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm sorry. I'm asking how many live events have you advertised?
I don't know. I couldn't give an exact number, I don't think, but it 2, 3 maybe. I don't know.
And if we pull up plaintiff's exhibit, Flow Sports exhibit F624, this is agreed.
Whose exhibit is this? Yours?
Yeah, Flow Sports 624, F624.
Flow
Okay.
Sport 624 is on the agreed list. It'll be admitted.
Okay.
Is this an ad that you created?
This would be an ad that I at least boosted. I don't know if I did the actual post, but I would have boosted this ad as an advertisement.
And this is for a live event that took place on September 19th, true?
True.
And this event generated new subscribers for Rockfin, true?
Action Foundation.
Generated news.
He's going to ask you another question.
Do you know if Rockfin got any new subscribers from this event?
The Ninny Lion Wrestling Club got new subscribers from this event, I believe. So we get a proportion of their attribution.
Did the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club have an event in October?
Vague as to where.
I didn't hear the objection. I'm sorry.
It was vague as to where
I'm not sure I understand is as to where, but
The-
if there's some confusion about that, perhaps you should re-ask your question, Ms. Valagies.
I'm happy to, Your Honor. Did the Nittany Lions Wrestling Club channel on Rockfin stream a live event in October?
Yes. I think they did.
Just to be clear, we're talking about 2020, correct?
October 2020, sure.
Yes.
And did Rockfin pay for advertisements to promote that event?
Yes, we would have. Yes.
And if we can pull up Flow Sports Exhibit 635, I don't know if you have it. This might have not been disclosed to the other side, and I apologize, but it's a tweet. It's F635.
635 has not yet been admitted, and it is not on any of my list. By that, I mean the list that you all provided this morning, or before today, for that matter. Does anybody have any
objection.
objection to 640? I'm sorry, 635. Any objection to 63 plaintiffs 635?
No objection.
No objection to it, Your Honor.
Plaintiff 635 is admitted.
Are you familiar with the Wisconsin RTC wrestling? Is it wrestling club?
I'm not too familiar with them, but I think they launched a Rockfin channel, but I haven't communicated with anybody from there.
Have you advertised this event? Have you paid for Rockfin? Has Rockfin advertised this event?
No.
And this is, do you know if this event is still taking place on November 24th?
I don't have any say in when these events go down or anything along those lines.
Mr. Bellicat, Mr. Floriani recruited you to work at Rockfin, true?
Recruited me. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I will say that he gave me a presentation of what Rockfin was sometime around early March of 2019.
And you were still a Flow Sports employee in March of 2019, true?
I was, yes.
I'd like to turn to Flow Sports Exhibit 3, but don't pull it up, Mr. Weiserod. It's agreed if displayed. If not displayed, sorry.
Flow Sports Exhibit number 3 is on my agreed list. It'll be admitted, but please don't display it.
Will you let me know when you have it, Mr. Bellicat?
F3. I have F3 open.
When Mr. Floriani says to you, it is not lost to us that we need your expertise, you understand him to mean the expertise you developed at Flow Sports, true?
You'd have to ask Martin. I'm not going to speculate on what he meant here.
And what did you understand that he meant when he sent in this email?
Objection relevance.
Not entirely sure what I'm going to sustain it because I don't know why it's relevant either, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
What is your area of expertise, Mr. Bellicat?
What, career-wise?
Sure.
More digital marketing. That's one of the things that I would consider myself an expert at.
And this email is April 2nd, 2019. Do you see that? Or sorry, April 3rd, 2019.
I see that.
And Mr. Floriani sent you an offer letter a few days later, true?
You'd have to show me the date on what you're referencing.
Do you know if, as of April 3rd, you were still a Flow Sports employee?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did you ever post content for Mr. Saylor on Rockfin?
Objection made.
Not clear about the time frame.
In November of 2019, did you post any content for Mr. Saylor on his Rockfin channel?
What do you mean by post?
I mean, the actual physical step of loading in the content into CMS and publishing it on the Rockfin platform.
I did not load any new content for Willie Saylor in November 3rd or November, whatever you're referring to.
Have you ever loaded any content for Mr. Saylor?
I don't think I've loaded any content for him. I published an article for him that he had already done all the content for. I think during my deposition, I mentioned that I published something that he already created.
One second. Mr. Velikat, you were a collegiate wrestler, right?
I was.
And your brother, Joe Velikat, was a collegiate wrestler too, right?
Objection relevant.
Dang.
Mr. Velikat, how many employees are there at Rockfin?
There's 6 employees at Robin.
And do you know how many of those those 6 employees are collegiate wrestlers?
Objection relevant.
Dang.
Do you know how many of those employees are former Flow Sports employees?
Objection relevant.
Overruled.
It's myself, Jaime.
She's asking for a number. You can count.
Yeah, I was counting. What, including Martin, myself, Jaime, Martin. Yeah, I guess that would be it. 3.
Thank you, Mr. Velikat. I'll pass the witness.
Okay.
Ms. Klingseisen and Mr. Sotero, we have 30 minutes left in our day. We still need to talk about scheduling and tomorrow. I'm just trying to figure out if we could finish him by 4:50 or so, that'd be great. If not, we might as well break now. So you tell me. Can we
I have
finish?
0 for him. I have 0.
Okay, well, let's see if we can't finish him up, but we still need some time to talk about tomorrow. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Klingseisen.
Okay, Mr. Velikat, could you please pull up on your computer, and because this is not going to be displayed, D148.
Okay, I have it up.
And Your Honor, I would move for admission of this document, but I do believe there's an objection to it.
Yes, my objection is lack of foundation. I just don't know what it is.
All right, well, you could, don't display it. He's got a copy of it. Let's see if we can get him to identify it for us.
Okay, Mr. Velikat, what is D148?
D148, these are screenshots that I sent over to, I think you and everybody for the sake of discovery.
Okay, thank you. I move for admission of this exhibit.
Screenshots of what kind of topic? Can you just give me a little more information? Screenshots of what? Baby pictures? Christmas last year? What? Screenshots of what? Generally speaking.
Am I supposed to answer or Kelly?
No,
You, Mr. Velikat.
screenshots of what?
These are,
general.
I'm sorry, who's up?
You, screenshots of what? Generally describe what the screenshots are of.
These are screenshots of how much money was ever spent targeting Flow Wrestling historically.
All right, thank you. Any other objection to 148, Ms. Calavis?
No, Your Honor.
Defendants 148 is admitted.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Velikat, what does this show?
This is showing all the money that was ever spent on targeting the Flow Wrestling Facebook likes audience historically.
And is that by Facebook likes audience, do you mean Flow Wrestling subscribers?
No, I just mean people that follow the Flow Wrestling page. I have no idea whose Flow Wrestling subscribers are, but I can just tell you from memory that I think there was very little overlap
Objection non-responsive.
between the active subscribers and the people that actually follow.
When the council makes an objection, that's when you stop talking.
Okay, I apologize, Your Honor.
No worries. Ms. Klingsheisen has the floor.
Okay, and what types of channels, what are some of the channels that you targeted this Flow Wrestling liker audience?
Everything from Ben Askren to looks like Compound Strength Gym to Jordan Burroughs to Mike Ironman to Underground Strength Gym.
Okay, and why did you target this audience with these campaigns?
Well, this was, most of the spend was very early on, like after launch. So in the first year of the life cycle of a company, you will target different demos to see if there's any interest or any overlap in interest between what that demo is liking on Facebook and what your product is, our product being Rockfin. So I wanted to see, do people that like the Flow Wrestling Facebook page, are they interested in any of this content that we have, whether it's for Ben Askren and MMA or it's for weight trading or anything else?
And what did you find?
I found that it was too expensive for me to target this audience. If you look at the purchases column, there are 3 purchases column. There's one that says purchases, and underneath the numbers in gray, it says 7-day click. You can ignore that one, but if you look at the 2 columns to the right where it says view attribution and click attribution, what that is showing is how many people signed up within 1 day of viewing or clicking on any of these ads. And so what I found was, if you're to add those 2 columns together, the 36 and the 39 gives you 75, right? So 75 subscriptions coming from these ads on almost $3,000 spent on $2,972.88 spent.
Okay, and is there a certain metric that you would calculate based on those figures?
Yeah, so if you take that number, that 2,972 number, and you divide it by the number of purchases, 75, what that gives you is a metric called cost per acquisition, meaning how much money did you spend to get somebody to become, in this case, a new subscriber to the Rockfin platform. And so in this scenario, you can see if you just do if you do the math, the 2,972 divided by 75, it gives you a CPA of approximately $40, meaning that for any time we would target Flow Wrestling, it would cost us about $40 to get somebody to pay for a $9.99 subscription to the Rockfin platform.
And do you know what Rockfin's holistic cost per acquisition averages for all campaigns and all audiences?
Of all time?
Yes.
Yes, it's approximately $20.
Okay, and why do these figures matter?
Well, they matter because what that's essentially showing is that to try to convert somebody that likes the Flow Wrestling Facebook page into becoming a premium subscriber on Rockfin, it costs us twice as much as trying to advertise to any of the other segments that we have targeted on the entire platform. So it's suggesting that the audience is not one that's going to be lucrative for us. It's not going to be one that has as good of a return on investment if we just targeted other audiences. And so because of that, you can see the start dates, and I don't know if the pause dates are shown here. Because of that, I haven't been targeting this audience for approximately 9 months, almost a year.
Okay, and I think you're thinking of D147, which is, I would like to move for admission, but I understand there is also an objection to D147.
147's already been admitted.
Oh, great. Nick, do you have 147 up?
I do. Is there any difference between this one and the last one that we just looked at? It looks like the same.
146. I move for admission of D146.
D146.
The objection to 146.
Lack of foundation. And again, I'm not sure what it is.
I don't.
You know, Mr. Veliket, what defendant's exhibit number 146 is?
I don't have D146.
Okay. I will email. Okay, I emailed it to you, but we can move on until you get it, okay? Do you consider Intermat to be a competitor of Flow Sports?
Of Flow Sports. Well, Intermat doesn't, I don't think they stream live events and purchase live events. So in that regard, no, I guess they wouldn't be a competitor to Flow Sports.
Okay. And earlier with Ms. Galaviz, you were talking about providing input or feedback as part of the white glove treatment to content creators. And with respect to that testimony, my question is, did you, as a representative of Rockfin, have any influence in the content that came out of any kind of feedback you provided?
I don't know 100%. I'm content agnostic, so I'm not trying to like determine what content people do. So if somebody's trying to reach out to me for some feedback, I might provide feedback, but I'm not dictating or telling people what content to do. That's completely on their own. They can come on the platform, do whatever content they do. That's what happens daily on the platform. Hundreds of posts go up. I have no idea what they're going to be. And then I see how everybody reacts to all the new content every single day on the platform.
Okay, did D146 come through?
Let me see. Loading. No, it doesn't look like it's come through quite yet. Sorry, it looks like there's just like this delay here in the office to get documents, so it's not come through.
Ms. Klingsizen, you may be muted.
It was, thank you. Are there any major differences between how you do your job at Rockfin and how you do your job at Flow Sports?
Yeah, there are a ton of differences. For one, when I was at Flow Sports, I was primarily tasked with trying to drive subscriptions through their live events, right? So Flow would purchase live events, set up plans to produce the live events. On the marketing side, it was my job to market those as much as possible because they would drive 80-90% of the signups for Flow. At Rockfin, most of the marketing, or I should say, the marketing that I'm doing is targeted at trying to get new creators on the platform. I do marketing of the Ray token, see if there's any interest in our token. And then I also market creators' channels to come on the platform. So there are a myriad of things that I do there, including some sales stuff as well at Rockfin.
Do you post ads for content creators other than, excuse me, do you pay for ads for content creators on Rockfin other than Willie Saylor?
Yes, I've paid for ads for dozens of content creators in a variety of verticals on Rockfin.
And has D146 come through yet?
Let me see, refresh once more.
I'm printing it, Ms. Klingsizen.
Thank you.
Still nothing. Nope, sorry.
What subject matters are the content creators in on Rockfin?
That I've advertised or just in general?
In general, and
Free thinking media, which is like our politics or political, the vertical on there. There's comedy, there's MMA, there's football. They're a handful, they're a lot. Oh, okay. I got the 146.
Can you please identify for the court D 146?
Do I show the printout?
No, no. Tell us what-
Identify it.
Oh, identify it. At the bottom, Rockfin 006130.
No, tell us what the document is. What is it?
The document is, it looks like it's showing the dates of every single time Flow Wrestling was targeted in any ad campaigns.
And when was the last, and did you take these screenshots?
Yes, I believe I took these screenshots and sent them over to you guys.
Your Honor, we move for admission of D 146.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Defendants 146 is admitted.
When was the last time that a Flow Wrestling audience was targeted by you?
Looks like January 11th. January 11th.
Okay, pass the witness.
Still nothing, Your Honor.
I just have a couple of quick questions, Your Honor. You listed out the types of marketing you do for Rockfin for Ms. Klingseisen.
Mhm.
You also market live events for Rockfin, true?
Market live events for Rockfin. I market any content that comes into our platform.
Objection, non-responsive.
Well,
Steve, just answer the specific question she's asking you, please.
I've had marketed live content for a variety of creators on the platform. Yes.
And the majority of the content creators on the Rockfin platform are in the wrestling vertical, true?
That I don't think that is true. It would be close between that and our free thinking media vertical, which might have the most. It's our political vertical.
Do you know how many content creators you have in your free thinking vertical?
No, I don't have an exact number.
If we could pull up F272, this is not on the list, but it's oh wait.
272?
Yeah,
I don't have an F272.
it's just a screenshot of the Rockfin page, so there might not be an objection and we could display it.
What's the date on that?
I'm not sure, it might show it.
I have a foundation objection to this. I don't know what it is.
Can we ask him if he can identify it?
He doesn't have a copy of it, is the problem. You can send him a copy, but he does not have a copy is what he just told us. And it's not on the list that you all provided to me.
I'm fine with you displaying it. It doesn't look like it's confidential, but there's no date on it, so I don't know how he would identify it.
Are you familiar with what the Rockfin platform looks like?
Is this the document? Yeah, I got the document, by the way. But yes, I know what the Rockfin platform looks like.
Okay. Is that what's depicted in Exhibit 272?
In 272, yes, this would be one of the pages on Rockfin. It doesn't have a URL, but yes, this is on the Rockfin platform.
I move to admit plaintiff's Exhibit 272.
Your Honor, objection relevance, especially if it's undated.
Well, that's the problem. Can you look at it and tell when it might have been on the Rockfin platform?
I don't know. Generally, I couldn't tell you. This is probably a screenshot from the last couple of months or last few months, but I don't know when in the last few months this would have come up.
Does anybody have better information about when the document or when the screenshot was taken?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Galavisi, any idea?
I don't have the exact date. I'll just say that it shows a picture of the from the debate the first presidential debate. So that might,
Okay, so it would have been in 2020.
yeah.
All right, I'll admit over objection 272. It's clearly from 2020.
You could pull up Exhibit 272. Mr. Weisrott, please. And this shows that this is filtered for the free thinking media vertical on Rockfin, true?
That's true. Yes.
And there's only 37 creators, true?
37 creators.
Objection. We don't know when this was taken. And the
Well-
document speaks for itself.
The document speaks for itself. I'll sustain that objection. We know that it was in 2020 because it relates to the presidential debates, which happened before November 3rd of 2020. So we know that. Beyond that, we don't know anything else about it, but we know it's 2020. So let's move on. It does speak for itself. What else?
Do you know if the wrestling vertical on Rockfin has more than 37 content creators?
Not definitively, but in May, if we, it
In
might.
May? Would it refresh your recollection to see a screenshot of the Rockfin website with the wrestling content creators filtered?
Yeah, I would confirm it.
If we could pull up F269. It's also not admitted, but I don't know if you guys are okay with pulling it up for efficiency purposes.
Same objections. Foundation and date.
Is it different from the one we just looked at? It's described exactly the same way is why I'm confused, or, you know, pretty much the same way.
269 the wrestling content creators, and 272 was the free thinking media content creators.
This says wrestler create. Okay, so you think it's different. That's good enough for me. Any idea when 269? Sir, do you recognize this document? Do you see it? Do you have a copy of it?
Let's see. What was it?
No
269?
objection to it being displayed, Hank.
He's gonna pull it up for us. Is that something from Rofkin's platform?
Yes, this is.
And can you tell what year it is?
It's 2020.
All right, it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does this refresh your recollection that the majority of content creators on Rockfin are in the wrestling vertical?
Well, it's not saying the majority are.
There are more content creators in the wrestling vertical than the free thinking media vertical, true?
That looks to be
Database.
true, yes. What?
I'm sorry,
What was your question?
as of the date of the screenshots.
Well, I don't know the date of the screenshots, but yeah, if you just look at the screenshots, they speak for themselves.
You testified earlier that it's expensive to target the Flow Wrestling audience.
Yes.
Yes. But nevertheless, despite the expense, you targeted the Flow Wrestling audience with the Mat Scouts ad in November 2019. True.
Yes. Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Your Honor, I'd like to admit D126 through D145.
I would object to lack of foundation.
And to they're not on my list of ones that you all agreed to. So give me the numbers again.
D126 through D145.
What are they?
They are screenshots showing what Ms. Galaviz was questioning the witness on Cross about the dates, that last significant edit date on the spreadsheet. These are the screenshots that the witness was describing taking to confirm the incorrect information in the spreadsheet.
Well, 126.
I mean, I don't see where last significant edit is mentioned. Is
140. I just wanted to make sure that the list, some of them don't have sequential numbering. I'm just double checking. So what's the objection to defendants exhibits 125 through 145? 146 is already,
I would,
146, 147, and 148 are already admitted. So the question now is about 125 through 145. What objection is there to those?
well, first of all, I'm still not sure what they are. She said something about last significant edit, but I don't see that.
Mr. Veliquette, do you recognize, can you show, does he have 125?
He does, Your Honor, and it's actually 126 through 145.
Yes, I took these screenshots.
126, sorry. What are these, Mr. Veliquette?
What was that?
What are these exhibits, 126 through 145?
These were what I was referencing earlier. These are screenshots showing charts of exactly when all of the ads that were in the previously shown spreadsheet, when they actually ran. So they're charts and graphs showing the impressions and the reach day by day, showing when they stopped.
All right. What's the objection to that?
Well, I would like to have an opportunity to ask him questions about these documents because I'm still not clear.
You can ask him questions, but the question now is, do you have any legal objection to their introduction of the exhibits? Once yeah, I mean, what's the legal objection to the admission of the documents first?
Relevance, like lack of foundation, and I object to the bulk admission of the exhibits. It's the goose gander objection.
I don't understand that. I've overruled their objection to many of your bulk ones, so I don't think that's fair. But I think he's described it, so the foundation objection is overruled. And so 126 through 145 are admitted, but certainly you can ask them questions about it when Ms. Klingseisen and Mr. Soltero are done with their questions. You may proceed.
No further questions.
Mr. Soltero,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Galvez.
I mean, I would like to ask some questions about these documents.
That's what I said. It's your turn.
I know.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If you'll turn to 127.
D127.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm looking at D127.
And what is this document showing?
This document is showing that one of the big board ads that was in question ran from November 13th to November 14th.
And which ad is that?
I would have to cross-reference with your spreadsheet, so give me a second. I gotta look at your exhibits.
It wasn't our D154.
Which one?
I think you're referring to the spreadsheet that's at D154.
D154. Okay, yes, I think. Okay. Okay, so that would have been F1. So cell E14, $1 spent. And the ad from that screenshot from D127 shows that the big board ad ran from November 13th to November 14th, as opposed to the last significant edit date of 2/13 on the spreadsheet, which I admit it was a mistake, just looking at last significant edit. So it shows the ad only ran for a day in November.
Sorry, and how do you, where is the last significant edit indicated on this page?
It's not indicated on this page, but it shows the dollars spent on there and the November 13th date as well.
Okay, but to be clear, the last significant edit is not shown on this page.
No, well, that's not going to be shown on any. Last significant edit is a column that you can build out. It's not going to be shown in any screenshots. You can't show that in Facebook.
Okay, so none of these exhibits that have just been admitted show the last significant edit date?
No, they do not. You can't show this with these screenshots.
Pass, Your Honor.
Ms. Klingseisen,
And no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Soltero.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veliquette. A rule has been in place to since its beginning that will prevent you from talking to other people about your testimony or letting them talk to you about theirs. That rule stays in place, but we are done with you today. Thank you for your patience with us this afternoon. You may be excused. Okay, I'm going to excuse the court reporter and talk now just about exhibit or about. So let's do that while we say
Judge, Judge, before the court reporter leaves, I need to make my offer of proof. Just,
No,
it'll take
you don't-
1 minute.
what, I'm sorry, with whom? With regard to what, which issue?
Exhibits, just exhibits. I just need to put it on the record.
Right, but we can do that in the morning.
Right.
You just need to do it before you rest, right? And the court reporter has an appointment this afternoon, and so I'm trying to get her on here to do that, so. But don't, yeah, I did tell you could do it later, so we're still in later mode. But you just need to do it before you rest, so. All right. And by the way, just as it relates to that, I've also told you in my ruling that the ruling not to admit those, what, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head now, but that's without prejudice to you being able to prove up those documents through another witness. So I don't know that you really get to do an offer of proof at the moment. Before you rest, if that information has still not been admitted, then at that time you can do it. But I still think it's premature because the ruling was without prejudice to you being able to demonstrate the relevance of those objections, either in the liability phase of our work or in the damages phase, which is probably where they might be more relevant, if at all. So that's, I think, where we're headed. So I don't know that an offer of proof would be appropriate at this time anyway, but nonetheless, we still have plenty of time to get to it. Just don't forget it. Okay, so tomorrow morning, Ms. Burgess has her presentation, and then I have mine. There's a presentation between us, but given the time it's going to take to get her mic'd up and prepped and me and all that, I feel like the morning is sort of blown. Which means really that we could start at, say, 12:30 and have the rest of the afternoon tomorrow. Even without that difficulty with our schedule, you're not going to be finished by Friday. And so I need to find out when you can finish up.
Your Honor, we will make ourselves available any day next week. We need to get this case over with.
You've said that, Ms. Dickey, and I appreciate it. Right now, I'm not interested in the arguments about it because I appreciate those and I'm as anxious as any of you. But right now, I just want to limit our conversation in the time we have remaining today to details like dates. So let's make this productive, and with the understanding that as soon as possible, as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible, let's think about all of that, but let's get some dates.